Hello, people. I appreciate you showing up today, and I have a very interesting guest. I'm going to let him introduce himself, but before we get into that, I want to talk about yesterday's interview with Stacks. And the main reason I'm going to do it because, first of all, I got this from Stacks last night, and this is what he sent me. He sent me Bill Stacks at 27 740. He says to, "I'll be down in Texas next month. We can meet up if you keep running your mouth." Well, here's my challenge to Bill Stacks. Let me know when you're going to be in Texas. And if you're in my area, we can meet up. And what I will do for the show is I will actually film and videotape it when we meet up. So as long as you meet up with me by yourself, I have no problem with that, Bill Stacks. And, yesterday we had a show. There's no reason getting all tough guy-ish. It's like when you go on someone else's show and you meet with them, you are going to be asked tough things. I've been asked tough things, but I'm not going to say to somebody, well, I'm going to meet up with you because I didn't like what you asked me. So Bill Stacks, my challenge to you is when you do get down here, please let me know and we will meet up, and whatever you want to do, we could do. Okay? Okay, I'm going to go move on from there. I had this great video sent to me. He creates my videos, this gentleman. And I just wanted to play this video, and then I'm going to bring our guest forward. And just tell you something about our guest. He works in the medium security and maximum security system. And he can only tell you so much about what he does and where he works. But I'm going to let him decide what he's going to tell you. And it's going to be about the prisons. And we're going to talk about the prison gangs, which of the prison gangs are the top gangs right now and the biggest and toughest gangs. And we're going to talk about what it's like to be in lockup and 23-hour lockup in the maximum security. And we're going to talk about medium security lockup and the difference between medium security and maximum security. And we're also going to talk about what is it like now to be in the prison system, say, compared to 20 years ago. Why is it changing? Are the criminals now more violent in prison? I mean, these are questions I want to ask. And I'm going to let you guys join in and ask also. Okay, so let me pull up this. I thought this was kind of cute or funny or whatever you want to say. This is a video sent to me by one of the video creators for this channel. And let me play this right now. Don't you call me a child molester?
Bro, you look
like a fool.
You look like
dude,
one.
You know what you look like? You look like a guy that thinks he's a tough guy.
You look like one. I don't give a fuck. You ain't gonna do shit, motherfucker.
Oh, well,
you ain't gonna do shit.
What are you gonna do?
You ain't gonna do nothing,
fight, dude. You can't fight.
You ain't gonna do nothing.
But
you ain't gonna do nothing,
can't
bro.
Fight, dude. I seen you fight.
Shut the fuck up, you fat fuck.
If I'm a fat fuck, but you can't fight.
Shut up, you fat.
Yeah, but how many times have I cursed? You're losing it, dude. You're losing it. Look, you're losing it. I could be a fat troll, but you're losing it.
Fuck you, Lee.
He's broken, people. You see how easy it was to break this guy?
I'm broken. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and fuck you, Lee.
Well, that was pretty much Stacks at his highest and cutest level there is. And I just wanted you to show that. I just wanted to show you the reply that he gave me. If you want to we are entertainers. We're bringing you entertainment. We want you to come watch our shows. There's no doubt about that. And if we're going to be entertainers, we have to know how to entertain. Threatening to beat people up, calling people child molesters when they're not, is not entertainment. It's desperation. And from there, I'm going to bring in our guest now. And he goes by the name Thin Gray Line. And if he wants to tell you more than that, I'm going to leave it up to him. How you doing, my man?
Good, Lee. How about yourself?
Fine. Well, I appreciate you coming on. And why don't you give people an idea of what it is that you do?
Well, I've been in corrections for 13 years. I've been at 2 facilities. The first facility that I started at was the old Supermax. It is basically a dinosaur of what most facilities and most institutions are like now. It's got the old panel boxes where you have a lever and you actually got to pull it down to release one of the doors. It's a majority of a cell block type facility. There's some dorms, but they're like makeshift dorms. So it was built as a level 5. It housed level 5 inmates. It now got downgraded because they built a new level 5, and it was a level 3-4 when I was there.
And what's a level 5?
It depends. It's all up to the classification department. A level 5 could be a very high, extremely high bond. They could jack your level up, a high profile case, someone famous. If OJ Simpson came to our facility, he'd be an automatic level 5 just because his profile. Actually, murder, that would classify you as level 5. Rape, it really depends on your charges and the kind of time you're doing. Most people that are doing big time, if they're doing life or a bid somewhere over 20 to 30 years, most likely you're a 4 or 5. And then with good time and good behavior, they could start dropping your level down.
And would you currently, are you basically, are you retired? Are you still in the system, or?
I'm still in the system. Right now I'm battling a medical retirement. As we talked about before. I don't know if you want me to get into that story right now.
Yes, I'd like you to tell us what happened that you are in a medical situation right now.
Okay. So basically, the facility that I was working at is how would you describe it? It's any movement on this facility goes from dorm to dorm, and to get from dorm to dorm, you're outside. So I was the yard 1 officer that day, meaning I'm in control and I'm in charge of all movement on that compound. So if the guys are going to programs in the morning, it's on my call. It's on my call which units are going, how quickly they're going, and in what order. It's up to me. That particular day, it was actually in June, back in 2015. I had yard 1, that was my post, and I just had this weird gut feeling because I was calling this unit to release their meds. So guys come out, get their meds or get insulin or whatever. And it was just a delay over the radio of their response. And then when the officer inside the unit keyed his mic to go ahead and say something, I could hear a lot of commotion. So I just said to my partner, you know what, let's go check out building 4 and see what's going on. So we walked over there. And as soon as we walked into the unit, there were 30 guys lined up on this side, 30 guys lined up on the other side. And me and my partner walked right in the middle. To clarify it even more, it was the Bloods on this side and the Latin Kings on this side. And they were about to throw down. And they did throw down, and they didn't give 1 ounce of us being there because it was just 2 of us and 2 block officers. And they went at it. So I immediately called the code and tried to get as much of a response as quickly as possible. But I wasn't the type to wait. So I started grabbing guys, as many guys as I could. In our line, in our field, you find out who's got it and who doesn't really quick when shit hits the fan, so to speak. So with that type of chaos, with that many people, you get a lot of people that respond, run into the building, and then freeze. Happens all the time. I don't pass judgment on nobody. Some people have it and some people don't. It's that flight or flight reaction. You either got it or you don't. So I noticed a lot of the new guys coming in were freezing. Now, by that point, I already cuffed 3 guys. So as these new guys are coming in and responding, I'm just grabbing handcuffs right off their waists and going around and handcuffing people. Now, mind you, when supervisors got into the unit, they started spraying all kinds of mace in the air. There was chemical agent throughout the entire dorm. I mean, I've been in plenty of codes where this stuff has been used. You start coughing, your eyes are burning, snot starts dripping out of your nose, depending on how much is in the air. It was bad to where, anybody that walked in there, you could barely breathe or see. But when I looked over to the corner of my eye, I saw one of my lieutenants getting his ass handed to him. He had 3 guys on top of him, and they were pounding on him. So I quickly went over to him to help him out. I threw the guys off of him. And then the one guy that I had to subdue was easily 300 pounds. That was like probably being generous. Now, if you're just doing a normal transport on a guy that big, you're going to be courteous and give the guy 2 or 3 handcuffs to allow him to get his arms behind his back and not be completely uncomfortable. And some guys, you're just not going to get their hands behind their back when they're that big. It's just their arms don't allow it. So you need 2 to 3 sets of handcuffs to allow that to happen. I got his arms behind his back and then some with 1 pair of cuffs. And in doing so, if you can imagine this squeezing method here where you're going like this, I popped the left side of my pectoral tendon. It just popped right off the shoulder. And I didn't realize it at first, but with that adrenaline going, you do what you got to do. So long story short, I ended up cuffing 8 guys. I had to do 8 use of forces on paperwork. Got a letter from the commissioner, letter from the warden on a good job done. And I've been battling this injury since 2015. I've had 3 surgeries so far, and I'm going to be going for my 4th in a month.
Now, and I noticed when you talk about guards and you're all coming in and the fights are breaking out and stuff, do you work out? I mean, would you say most guards are in good shape?
Yeah, not all. I can't speak for all, but I actually did competitive bodybuilding for years before I started in corrections. And, these guys, that's all they have time to do. They have time to work out and get stronger. So if you can't, when you leave there, go home and take care of yourself and at least try to get stronger, or, it doesn't even take the biggest guy to be good at this job. It really comes down to IPC skills. If you have interpersonal skills and you can talk, you're going to go pretty far, because 90%, I would say 99.9% of the time, you're not going hands-on. You're using your mouth. And depending on how you talk to these guys and how you address them is really going to dictate how your 20-year career is going to go.
So you have to show these guys respect, but be firm. Would you basically say that?
Fair, firm, and consistent is basically the department's motto. Absolutely. If are
there certain guys? I'm sorry.
Go ahead. You'll get a lot of times when, if I'm working day shift and I got, let me actually reverse it. Let's say I'm working second shift. I'm relieving day shift. Well, when I take over somebody else's unit, it's so often that you hear the inmates say, well, CO so-and-so, he let me do this. Well, I'm not him. And if that's not what you're supposed to do, why would I let you do it? And again, I'm not one of those COs that breaks balls, busts balls, and I'm definitely not one of those COs that would come in and pass judgment. What you did is what you did. I'm not here to punish you any further. Your punishment is what you're living in right now by being incarcerated, being away from your loved ones. That to me is more punishment than anything. So I'm not there to punish anyone. I don't break balls. I don't give anybody a hard time. I do my job. I don't give anything that I'm not supposed to, and I don't take away anything that I'm not supposed to.
Are there just certain inmates that the guards are just scared shit of? Are there just certain guys that they don't really want to deal with, but they have to?
If some aren't, then I would say you're ignorant. Because you got to remember, they're all capable guys, or they wouldn't be in there. But like I was telling you the other day, some of the most respectful, most polite, neatest inmates I've ever dealt with are the guys that have multiple bodies and that are doing life. Because they got to do their time regardless. They know they're not getting out. So they want to do their time as peaceful as possible. And I'll tell you, I'll take a unit full of murderers and lifers over these young punks that are doing 2 to 3 year bids all day long.
Have you noticed the difference with the young guys coming in now compared to the old timers?
Oh, absolutely. Big time. you get, as soon as they're 18, they're eligible to come to us. So you get a lot of kids straight off the street that who knows what kind of clout, who knows what kind of street cred they had, but they all think they're, bigger than Tekashi 6ix9ine or bigger than, whatever gangster they used to idolize. But more often than not, you'll get some of the OGs, some of the real gangsters that have done more time than they've been alive, and school them. Because if these youngsters get it fucked up for the whole unit and they go on lockdown for the rest of the day, now you got to answer the big boy that's in the back, but that's been doing a 30-year bid, and he ain't getting out anytime soon.
Have you ever seen any of these young guys come in acting tough, and the next thing you know, the old timers just take care of them?
Oh, all the time. I mean, we're getting intakes daily, constantly. It's literally a revolving door. You have people coming out and you have people coming in. And yeah, you see some guys that are scared, and you see some guys that just realized, wow, this is going to be where I'm living for the next couple of years or months or however long they're in there. Yeah, you get guys that come in and try to act tough and try to be, they want to run shit. But when they quickly realize that there's guys that have literally been doing time longer than they've been alive, they get checked real quick.
Do you? And so describe to me some of the things that you see happening to some of these inmates that get taught lessons by these old timers.
Well, a lot of times, these old timers are smart. So 9 out of 10 times, we're not going to see it. They know where the cameras are and they know the camera angles. So a lot of stuff happens, back in the shower area or the bathroom area or somewhere in the day room where the cameras just don't get. They're slick because, we'll go a whole day without seeing something, and then we'll see this inmate going out to chow or going out to rack or going to a visit, and he's got a shiner covering his entire eye, or it's completely swollen shut. Like, where the hell did that come from? It's not that we missed it. It's just they're smarter because they got all the time in the world to figure out where the blind spots are.
And we were talking about something that I find quite interesting. You said something about a honey bun and how some of these guys are, because, our channels here are based on rats. Do you see a lot of rats in the system?
There are rats everywhere. And that's why this whole Cosa Nostra thing and, honor and don't rat and don't tell, man, listen, I give all the credit in the world to guys like John Gotti who did their entire bid and never ratted on a single person. That takes guts. It takes courage. I mean, it surely shows his dedication to that life. You can't take anything away from that. But there's also that element of, you could have young ones at home, or you get the other side where, why am I going to sit here and not rat when my whole crew is ratting? Because that does happen. That does happen a lot. When I met, talking about the honey bun thing, I've seen high-ranking members, active members in gangs, Latin Kings, Bloods, Crips, Solitos, whoever, flip for a freaking honey bun or a TV. And these TVs are 10 by 10.
And what do the other prisoners do when they see these guys flip? I mean, what's their attitude?
It's so common now that, back when I started, I've seen guys' heads go through that TV that they snitched for. I've literally seen, I've walked into a cell and seen a TV smashed over the head of the guy that snitched. But that's 15 years ago. Nowadays, it's so common that they're walking around freely, and because it's a cesspool of rats is really what it is. The day of people being silent and not talking, it's so far gone.
Why do you think that is?
I just think that I really truly don't have that answer. I can't answer for other people. I can't truly say what I would do in that situation. I know it would be very hard for me. I have an 8-year-old daughter. I would have a hard time not being able to come home and see her. So I think it's a lot of what people are leaving on the outside. And I think a lot has to do with that. A lot of these people know that, all right, if I keep my mouth shut, what does it matter if my partner runs his mouth? Well, I kept my mouth shut, but he's running his mouth. So what good am I, what's the point of me staying quiet when he doesn't shut the fuck up?
Do you see any mafia guys come through the system anymore?
Not where I was. No. I can't say that at all. Some guys, I think they're in the mafia, that's for sure. But actually made guys, I can't think of any. No. I mean, we've had guys that, have tried murdering certain NBA players' fathers and the gun jam. So it obviously didn't work out well for him. And that guy's doing 32 years for attempted murder. We had one high profile case where this doctor's family got murdered and raped while he was away. He was out of the house. 2 burglars came into the house, raped the wife and the 2 daughters. And one of the daughters was as young as 13. And they didn't last too long where we were because it was such a high profile case. They got shipped to the level 5 real quick and got PC'd immediately.
Now, describe exactly when you go through PC, say you're in maximum security, what is life in PC like in maximum security?
You're in a unit full of other protective custody inmates. They could be from, I've seen judges who have committed crimes and end up in there. I've seen police officers. I've seen other corrections officers. It's pretty much all walks of life, and they're all in a unit. They're all individually housed. They all have their own separate cells, so to speak, and they do their time in isolation, basically.
Now, do any prisoners slip through the system where they're not put in PC and the prisoners find out who they are? And it's like, oops, we really fucked up. We didn't put this guy in PC.
Yes and no. Not if a guy, most often than not, classification departments is on the ball. You won't get a guy that's supposed to be PC'd going into general custody too often. What you do get, though, is rival gang members getting housed in the same unit or even the same bunk. They'll have one guy on a top bunk and a bottom bunk, and you have a lieutenant in the Bloods, and then the gang leader of the Kings in this area is his bottom bunkie. That has happened several times. It slipped through the crack of classification, because you got to remember, there's in our facility alone, there's 1,500 inmates. With humans, you're going to have human error and accidents do happen. But as far as people that have big, high profile PC cases, I haven't seen it personally. No.
So back when I did some time, twice I seen instances of child molesters come in, and twice I seen them get hurt really bad. And I hate to say this, but twice I seen the correctional officers let people know that they were child molesters. And what would happen to a CO if he did that now? Like, just said, look, this guy's a child molester, and walked away.
It depends. It depends on who's going to rat on that CO. More often than not, I've seen it happen where inmates will have the back of a CO and that type of case, and I didn't hear nothing. I didn't see nothing. Did you hear CO so and so say this? No, we didn't hear nothing. I
guess when it takes just a nod to a certain inmate who runs stuff,
or a quick little wink. Yep.
Yeah.
And they have names for them. They call them rippers, diddlers, whatever. Let's put it this way: most of the guys that I've seen that are unremorseful are all in like a hospital unit with colostomy bags.
Really?
So just imagine what happened to them.
I could only imagine. I wouldn't want to imagine.
Let's just say a good chunk of this broomstick handle was missing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, do you think right now the gang issue is getting worse inside the prisons?
I don't know if I would say it's getting worse. You got to remember, the last thing a gang member wants is to be classified as a gang member, because they're getting shipped to a facility and a unit that is designated for gang members. Where we are in our state, if you get classified, I don't care what gang it is, you're getting shipped to that facility and you're stuck with nothing but gang members. And more often than not, those units are locked down 23 out of 24 hours. They get rec once a day, showers every other day, phones only certain times. So you don't want to get classified as a gang member. So a lot of guys, we have gang members walking the units where we're in every single day that are low key and trying to stay under the radar. Now, where they get it fucked up a lot is, letters will come in and these guys think they're slick and try to write it in code. But we have such a good security division and gang intel that they're pretty good and they catch on to these things. But as soon as you get designated, you're gone. You get shipped out.
Now, if somebody's running a gang, let's say, and he's the man, then all of a sudden somebody else comes in and he's been the man. Do you see conflict all of a sudden develop between the new guy coming in and the guy that's already running the gang?
No. All I see, actually, it's more peaceful that way, to be honest with you. I can remember this one guy I had in my unit. His nickname was Magic. And I want to say, yeah, he was the highest ranking gang member for the Latin Kings at that particular time. He rarely ever came out of his cell. I think he would only leave for chow on certain days. If there was, like popcorn chicken's a popular day. You won't really get too many guys staying back in their unit and miss that kind of meal. So they all go down. That was probably the only time you would see him leave his cell. Other than that, he did his time as peaceful as possible. And if we ever, as such as COs, ever had an issue with inmate, we would just go see Magic and he would take care of it for us.
So those are the type of inmates you actually like having around.
Love them. Because they're going to make my 8-hour shift or 16-hour shift, whatever I'm working that day, that much smoother, because he does not want to get put on lockdown. He doesn't want his unit. He doesn't want other COs coming into his cell and tossing it, meaning, looking for things. We're going to do a shakedown, basically, is what we call it, looking for things and tearing his shit up because some punk got it fucked up and messed up his whole day. So it's a beautiful thing when you have guys like that in your unit because they like to keep things orderly. They do their job basically for you.
Now, I had someone just mention in the chat room here. Do you see a lot of corruption with the guards?
All I have to say to that is look on TikTok. How the fuck are these guys live streaming and making TikTok videos, sliding down a tier, partying, doing dance parties, having Super Bowl parties? Obviously, there's corruption. It's everywhere. That's the sickest thing that I've noticed is just the level of phones that are in these facilities now is, it's crazy. It's gotten out of control.
So there's cell phones with inside the prisons now.
Oh yeah. Now, where we are, they get iPads. Now, granted, there's obviously major blocks on certain things. They can't just roam the internet or whatever, but they can email. They can get emails, send emails. Everything's monitored, obviously, just like the phones. When they make phone calls or anybody makes a phone call, it's being monitored. So, but the amount of cell phones, literally Google it or even YouTube it, that look up inmates with cell phones or, inmates on cell phones. It's every day. It's nuts.
Now, have you seen, one of the things I noticed that we're talking about in Baltimore and stuff, they had a lot of female guards and they were getting pregnant by the prisoners.
Yep.
Do you ever see that kind of stuff happening?
Yes. I had a particular female that was in my class, in my academy class, and it didn't take her more than 3 months to be dropping her pants for another inmate.
Wow. And what's the repercussions on that?
Well, I could tell you what happens to guys. If it was a guy in a female prison, they're doing time.
They're
But
going
I
to
have, yeah, I think there's only been one female where we are that actually had to do time and lost their job. One. But if it was a guy, it's because you hold a certain authority over that person. I hold authority over you as an officer, and you're just an inmate. So because of that, and because I hold this authority over you, it's a bigger crime.
Is it like
like entrapment in a way?
Is it a challenge for these? Like, you got a lot of guys in jail that probably think they're it when it comes to women, and if they see an attractive woman CO, is it like a game to them where they say, let me see if I can?
Oh yeah. These guys are rapping game all the time. But what's crazy is that some of these women apparently aren't getting the attention that they need at home. And these guys got nothing but time to compliment them, make them feel like, say things that apparently no other guy has ever said to them, because they feel like it's worth risking their pension, their job, their freedom for this inmate that's clearly just blowing smoke up their ass. But
so they seduce. Now, if it's found out where a female CO is does she lose her job?
Absolutely.
So they always lose their job if they
immediately. And I've seen sometimes where, and this is where some people are just so stupid, where the female will send in letters to the inmate. Hello, we have a mail department that checks mail for every inmate that's receiving mail. And if you're writing to that particular inmate, how do you think yours is going to slip through the cracks?
Well, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, they do. But yeah, it's I've seen it where they'll give the officer a courtesy, like, listen, today's your last day, just letting you know, or right after roll call, don't even walk down towards your unit, just start walking towards the parking lot.
What would you say to this guy? What would you say to this guy, John, that just made this statement? No hot women work as COs.
To each their own, I can.
I know that's a lie. I've seen some real hot CO women.
There definitely are some very attractive CO women. But again, I kind of guess where he's coming from. They call it prison hot, where some of these women, are definitely not all that what these guys are saying. That's for sure. Right. But if you're in there and you haven't seen a female for God knows how many years, or you haven't been with a woman for God knows how many years, I don't fault the inmate for trying. If I was in there, I'd be trying too. But, for these females or males to fall for it and risk their pension for it, that's a whole nother thing. I got no respect for people like that.
Now, if you see a guy come in, say a young guy, and you could look at him, can you tell right away if they're going to have trouble? And that includes being forced to do things they would never do on the outside?
Well, let's put it this way. All these guys do at night is watch the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock news. So if you had a case, especially in that state, which most likely you did, because that's why you're coming into this particular prison, and you were a child molester or a raper or whatever the case may be, these guys know who you are, or they're going to remember who you were. And then when you come in, guess what? Your commissary? Yeah, that's my commissary now. And what are they going to do?
So would you say that guys that come in and can't handle themselves, is there like a little battle going on? Who's going to get control of that guy because he may have some money in the bank?
Oh yeah. But again, that comes down to who's the big boy in the block, who's the big boy in the unit. More often than not, the big boy will share with everybody and make sure everybody eats. But more often than not, that child molester or rapist or whatever, he'll drop a request and tell a supervisor or tell a counselor what's going on, and they get him out.
Have
So
you
it
ever
doesn't
seen a
last
guy
very
come
long.
in and you look at him and he looks like he's going to be a victim, and the next thing you know, he ain't that wimpy guy that they thought he was?
Oh yeah, so many times. I'll be coming in, or I'll be doing a tour. With my kind of time, I'm not really in too many units now. I'm more or less, I'm running count, or I'm running, the cameras. But anytime I'm in those units, I've had certain inmates pull me to the side, like, "Hey, CO, can I talk to you for a second? Listen, dude, I couldn't fight my way out of a paper bag. I don't know what to do. What am I supposed to do if they come at me, if they try me? And more often than not, I tell them, listen, be respectful. Try not to look at anybody in their eyes, because they take that as an insult. And, you got to it's a judgment call. You got to make your choice, whether you're going to stand up for yourself and fight back, or you're just going to give in. But if you give in, you're always going to be giving in. And then they see that sign as weakness, and you're going to be tortured for the rest of your bid.
Now, if a guy comes in and he fights and he loses, but he still fights, and he's known as someone that's going to fight, even though he loses, will he be more respected by the prison? He
Absolutely.
will be.
Because you didn't punk out. Yeah. More often than not, it's a test. A lot of these guys like to test you to see if you're going to stand up for yourself, or if you're just going to lay down and be like a bitch.
And will they test you as soon, the minute you walk through that door? Does the test begin?
It really depends on when you're walking through that door. If you're walking in that door that morning, they might feel you out. They might try to friend you. If it looks like, you're coming for money, or, let's say you transferred in from another facility and you got a ton of property, they might not want to come at you aggressive. They might want to friend you. But listen, man, whatever you need, I got you, or I'll offer you protection as long as you feed me. Because, commissary is currency in there. So the more commissary you have, the more pull you have. If you got money on the books, you can buy your way out of certain things.
So if you come in and you got no money on the books, you're kind of screwed.
You're fucked. You better be one of those dudes that works out all the time and can handle yourself.
And how often is that the case?
I mean, 50% of the time. You got a guy that, some of these guys catch bad cases. I mean, I've seen one guy where he was a jewelry store owner, and a guy came in to rob him. He had his gun underneath the desk. The guy had a knife basically 6 inches away from his throat, saying, "Give me all your jewelry or I'm going to cut you." So this guy went for his gun. And when he went for his gun, the suspect turned and started running towards the back door. But from him grabbing his gun, bringing it up to go shoot him, he shot him in the back. There was a back door. So the fact that store owner didn't allow him to keep running out that door, they made him do 7 years.
So he did 7 years.
He shot him in the back. If he would have shot him in the front and in the chest, he would have never done a single day. Self-defense. But because he got shot in the back and the bullet entered from the back, 7 years.
And
because that person had a clear exit to leave.
And a lot of times,
that person had his wife and his daughter in the store as well.
How did that guy get along with people? Was he treated okay, or did he have a tough?
I tell you what, I treated him like gold.
Anything
he needed. If he wanted an extra tray that day, I made sure he got an extra tray.
How did the other prisoners treat him?
For the most part, pretty well, from what I see. But again, you're not going to know too much of that. These guys aren't going to be, if you're constantly seen talking to one of us, then, you're going to be labeled a snitch. So it's not like these guys hang around us all day long and try to talk to us all the time. It doesn't work like that.
Now, when you're on the outside, do you ever have some guys you remember from the inside that just bump into you in the store?
I actually took my wife and my daughter to a show in one of the cities. And as I went into the parking garage to go park my car, all I heard was, "Yo, CO, remember me?" And it was this guy that was actually one of my tiermen A tierman is like basically the guy that takes care of the tier, cleans everything up. It's basically a janitor of the unit. And, you know, they get, I don't know, 50 cents, 75 cents a day, but they get a little extra rec time. Their cell door still stays open most of the time, and they get a little bit more privileges here and there. But he was washing people's windows in there. And I told him, I was like, man, you take care of me, I'll take care of you. If you hook my windows up, I'll take care of you. He was like, nah, I can't take your money. I'm like, well, you're going to wash my car for me? Make sure nobody messes with it? Yeah, I got you. Don't worry about it. So, I mean, listen, the way I carry myself in there is the way I carry myself out here. I give everybody respect until they no longer deserve it.
Do you have some COs that come in and you think they're just dicks and you're like, why are you treating the guys like this?
Tackleberries? Yeah.
Is that what they call them?
Yeah. You know, the guys that are on power trips, trying to be top cop, you know, they think their shit don't stink. And that, here's the thing. And this was an older inmate, an old school inmate that taught me this. Don't ever think for 1 second that you can't be where I am in the blink of an eye, because it doesn't take much.
Nope.
And he's absolutely correct, because all it takes is one bad decision, one bad move. Checking your phone as you're driving and killing somebody. You could be in tans and not the one in uniform anymore. So, you know, I took that guy's advice as gold. And like I said in the very beginning of us doing this interview, I'm not here to pass judgment. What you did is what you did. I'm not here to punish you any farther than you've already been punished. I'm here to make sure that you're living, breathing, and you get what you need. And that's it.
Well, you know, I just want to tell people how we met is you come on, you watch the show, and you watch some of these other guys too. Am I correct?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And so would you, what is your opinion of these people that troll us, that have the shows? What would your opinion be of these trolls?
Well, there's good trolls and there's bad trolls. There's good trolls that are going to be getting your views up, that are going to be, like you said, putting your name out there, spreading your name, getting your algorithm up. And then you have trolls that are just downright disrespectful. You know, what I've seen, what's going on with you, with the whole child molestation thing. I mean, listen, I see real child molesters every single day. You never want to be labeled like that. And to just have that thrown around so nonchalant. I mean, there's no more disrespect than being labeled as that.
So what would your opinion be of a guy like Stacks that started throwing that at me yesterday? Because I know you watched that whole thing go down.
Yeah, I mean, that was disappointing. You know, I don't know why. Again, I don't know Stacks. I don't know a lot of these guys. I mean, I'm just meeting you now too. I don't know what's going on with him in his personal life, but I mean, clearly he's angry about something, and the things that he was saying, you know, that's just unfortunate. You know, me personally, I don't even want to think about it, to be honest with you, because like I said, I see the real guys, I see the real molesters, and to throw that word around as nonchalantly as they are, it's sad. It's really sad. You know, you got a family, you got kids. There's no more disrespectful stuff than that. It's just really sad.
And that's the thing with Stacks yesterday. He doesn't realize that I'm a father and I'm a grandfather. And when you say stuff like that, you really show who you are as a human being.
Right.
And what really sucks is when you have people laughing about it and agreeing with this guy. Like, oh, maybe you are, or you look like one. Or I had one girl say to me yesterday, oh, but you didn't say you weren't. Why, you know, and it's just, this is the mentality of some of these people. And they don't realize that we're here doing entertainment, but these attacks that continue all the time, like they take sides. Like you like Jimmy Calandra, you like Sammy. You know, what's your opinion of Sammy Gravano?
Again, you know, I don't, to each their own. I don't know Sammy Gravano. I've never met him, obviously. I can only go off of what I've heard. You know, I tend to not pass judgment on anyone, just like I am at work. I don't pass judgment on anyone. I don't pass judgment on Stacks. I don't pass judgment on anyone. You know, how you treat me is how I'm going to perceive you. You know, I'm seeing how he's treating you. I obviously disagree with it, and I think a lot of people disagree with it. I know I heard FBS on his show last night. You know, he was highly disappointed in how, you know, that went and where it went, because it went left real quick. Again, I have nothing personal against Stacks. I don't know Stacks. I wish Stacks nothing but the best, and, you know, and whatever's going on with his daughter, I hope, you know, that none of this affects him with her, because that's what it comes down to. You know, I have a daughter myself, and I would never want anything to come between me and her. So, you know, my advice to you would be to learn to fizzle out the noise, you know, the stuff that you know is just unbelievably untrue, and there's no proof of any of it. You know, you were never charged with anything like that. Don't pay it any mind, because I think a lot of these people are feeding off your reactions.
Oh, without a
Like I
doubt.
told you the other day, you know, these trolls get energy and get motivation based upon your reaction. They want to see you fumble. They want to see you mispronounce words. They want to see you, you know, not be able to say Michael Frances, or, you know, however you say it, or even genre, you know.
Yeah.
They get a kick out of this stuff, and they see how you get worked up. And that's them winning. So if you want to start taking back your show and start, you know, showing them that it doesn't affect you, then you're going to get somewhere. But you
well,
really
here's the number one thing. What it comes down to is how many people watch your show and whether people find it entertaining. And we people that have shows, it's a learning process. And, you know, I'll give you an example. I went into MRE show last night, and I was there for 2 hours. As a matter of fact, I went to bed late because I watched his show. And me and him, we were going back and forth, not arguing, but talking about things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized he's not my issue. So that whole thing with MRE is not going to be my issue anymore. He could do whatever he wants, and I'm not going to say anything to him. Right. And I'm going to respect that. But yeah, it was nice to be in his show last night, and we had a good conversation back and forth.
And that's what I really want to see with all you guys. I think if all you guys got together and you were all on somewhat of the same page and got along, I think each one of you could benefit from each other. I think you guys could grow your numbers together much more than apart. You know, going and attacking each other for this tit for tat stuff, this, you know, lower than high school drama, it's doing nothing for any one of your shows, to be honest with you. And I you know, MRE is, you know, a great guy. He supports good causes. You know, his thing is his thing. You know, a lot of people are upset, including you, that he won't show his face. But I also remember you saying that you wish from the beginning that you didn't show your face, so you didn't have to go through these things. So
yeah,
you know,
without a doubt. I'm glad. Actually, I'm glad I showed my face. But I think how I handled the MRE thing wrong is I should have never got into a debate with him. First of all, I don't think you should ever get into a debate with someone you can't see, because it's a losing. You're going to lose. So, you know, and you're right though. Like last night I was listening to his show and he was talking about all the things that I agree with. Mm-hmm. So, you know, there's not going to be any issues there anymore. I'm just going to wish him the best and work with him. That's right. What I'm planning on doing.
And you're not going to agree with everybody. That's not possible. You know, any of the guys that have girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands, wives, whatever, you don't always agree with your loved one either. So, you know, you're going to have disagreements. It's how you work it out and how you come to some kind of a mutual ground. That's what you guys should be trying to look for, rather than how can I trash you the most? You know, just like Jimmy Calandra, he's a family guy. I respect that family side part of him. You know, listen, especially with my job in my field, I feel that everybody deserves a second chance. Everyone.
You know, the issue I had with Jimmy is Jimmy did a show yesterday. It was a 2-minute show, 3-minute show, and he was working, and he said, "Fuck Lee, that fat slob." And then he said that I was looking for his tax returns or something.
Right.
I'm like, I didn't even, you know what it's like when you don't even know what someone's talking about, and you're like, where is he hearing this crap?
And
I mean, that kind of bothers you, you know?
And that's kind of why, this tit for tat thing has gotten so out of hand that, I don't think anybody even knows where this is coming from. And that's what's crazy. It's just, how can I attack you? And what am I going to attack you with? And what show am I going to attack you on? It's childish, to be honest with you. And I think that all you guys just need to come to some sort of mutual ground, whether that be, I'm never going to mention your name again. You don't mention mine. We do our shows and that's it.
That's what, see, I said that to Jimmy. I had not mentioned Jimmy's name. And then Jimmy came up with that yesterday. And as it turned out, it was Stacks getting a hold of him during the day, telling him a bunch of BS. And I'm like, so you got this little, I can't even describe him. To me, he's worse than the people we go after. And he's actually talking to Jimmy. And here's poor Jimmy at work, all worked up. You can see how red his face is. The guy shouldn't have been called up and told that. It was just BS.
Right.
I don't like attacking Jimmy, but Jimmy has a lot of people like Jimmy here. And if I don't answer what Jimmy says right away, it could ruin my station. My channel.
Jimmy seems like a great guy, from what I've seen from his show. He's got interesting stories. I think everything that he says is coming from a really good place. I think his beef might be possibly that you go after Sammy.
I'm in the middle of the show. I'll call you back. Sorry about that.
No worries, man. Take your time. Take your time.
That was my kidnap victim. Okay. He said that's what makes me laugh,
Yeah. No, I think that's just Jimmy sticking up for Sammy. Listen, at the end of the day, you can have your opinion about anyone, and everybody has the right to their own opinion. But if you come on here and you say, fuck Sammy the Bull, he's a piece of shit. Tell me how that's.
I can never take that away. I'm sorry.
But tell me how that's any different than someone saying you're an old, disgruntled, fat piece of shit and a kidnapper. How is that any different?
Well, listen, because okay, I might be old and fat, but I'm not a kidnapper. But the thing with Sammy is
right, but
Sammy took his family and became a drug dealer with his family. I can handle Jimmy, respect him to a point, but never will I ever have any respect or be kind to Sammy Gavano, because if we're going to go after John A. Light, we cannot leave Sammy Gavano out of it, because Sammy Gavano is worse than John A. Light.
Right. And like I said, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but do you have to say that and say it the way you said it on this platform the way you did? Can you not just say what you just said right now? Like, listen, I don't really care for Sammy the Bull. He's not my cup of tea, but to each their own, and I wish him nothing but the best.
I respect what you have to say.
If you took that approach with a lot of these guys, so much drama would just disappear. I just think it's the type of, like, listen, going back to what I do and in the prison, if you just call somebody a bitch, you're gonna miss your teeth very quickly. You'll be getting dentures the next day. So a lot of these guys, especially these guys that have done time or have done a significant amount of time, that prison thought is still up here, that your words matter and how you say it and how you deliver it matters. So if you call me a piece of shit, you got to think about it. He wants to rearrange your teeth.
Yeah.
So it's that same mentality. These guys are from the streets. These guys Sammy did a lot of time. So, when you live in that life,
but Sammy didn't get tied to a bed and die of cancer because of Sammy.
Again, but
that's why I started my whole show. Let me just tell you why I started. Because one day I was sitting home and I was watching Sammy Gavano, and I remember turning to the person I'm with and I said to her, I said, "Can you believe that this guy has a show, despite everything he's done in his life and all the evil that he's caused?" And how evil he is as a human being. I started my show based on Sammy Gavano. I didn't even know who the hell John A. Light was. I never even heard the man. I never heard of his name of anything. When I started this show, all of a sudden I started hearing about John A. Light. But in the beginning, I started because of Sammy Gavano.
Now, take that same mentality that you just said and think back to some of the comments that you read about you and your show. And, you know, some of your responses were like, dude, do you even have a life? Like, how, get a life, or do you have a life? Think about it in Sammy's perspective. Did anything he do affect you in your life?
Oh, without a doubt, it affected a lot of people in their life.
But did it affect you personally is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, you know, I know people that Sammy affected. Let me put it that way, and what he did to their lives.
Okay, well, if it affected you personally or someone that you're very close to personally, I completely get it. But this whole fascination with all these other people, even A-Light, like nothing A-Light did or does, even on here on YouTube, will ever affect me.
Totally agree with you.
I don't give two shits what he says, how he claims anything. You know, I don't care how many people he supposedly whacked or whatever. It doesn't affect me. So I think people take offense to, you know, what does it matter to you? It doesn't affect you. They're trying to get a bag one way or another. This all comes down to getting the bag, right? It's all about money.
Yeah.
So they're hustlers. They're known for being hustlers. They got to be earners. That was their lives. So however they can earn, they're going to earn. And if that's manipulating the truth, that's their prerogative.
Well, one great thing.
It's your choice whether you want to listen to it or not.
One great thing is that, and it's like I say this all the time, if we didn't have YouTube for Sammy, God knows what he'd be doing to make money. Because guys like that, that's what they are. They're hustlers. They're going to make money one way or another.
Well, I think he probably have something kind of like what MTV's doing, which is like a spin-off of what he's doing. You know, I think as Gotti's had his movies, rightfully so, I think Sammy probably would have had a movie too.
And what do you think of all these guys right now coming out? And Vlad TV puts this guy on that we were just talking about the other day, Anthony Raimondi. Mm-hmm. What do you think about these guys? Like, you know, you as a CEO, you could probably read these guys right away and know how much shit they're full of. When you see these guys come forward and you know they're full of crap, what do you think to yourself? Again,
you know, I have a job to do, and my job is to make sure you're living, breathing, and that you get what you need. You know, if that particular inmate wants to walk around and act tough or pretend he's something that he's not, doesn't affect me, man. I still go home. I still go home to my family. He's got to stay in there with everybody else. He doesn't get to go home. So if he wants to tell fairy tales and he wants to be a storyteller, that's on him. It doesn't affect me. Again, if what he did victimized me or did affected me personally, now I got a beef. Now I got something to say. But if it doesn't affect me and I have no beef, I don't give two shits what you say.
And what do you think about like these guys? How popular this genre is? What do you think about? Are you surprised how popular it is?
No. Not at all. I mean, I listen, you know, I've been around a certain family. I've seen the rise and the fall of that family. I didn't do anything personally, obviously, but you kind of do admire or look up to them in a certain way, just to kind of the respect that they got when they would walk around and go into restaurants and they pull the red carpet out for you. Sure. And especially for the younger, the youth, especially teenagers looking up to these guys. I mean, I could see the draw. I could see the fascination, basically. You know, how you know, we looked up to Michael Jordan or Mickey Mantle is how these guys looked up to Gotti and Sammy. That's just how it was.
You know, and one of the reasons that I had you on today is because one of the complaints here is do shows on other things and not just John A. Light or, you know, and I do listen to people. I want like this, to me, the knowledge that you put out here today is very important. And I want to have people like you on the show so you can explain to people, you know, I'm going to be honest, if this drama and stuff, when we do it, I'll have 200 people in here watching, insulting me.
Right.
As the show's happening.
Right.
But, you know, today there's no insults coming in. And sometimes a person just has to clean up their act,
Right.
you know, and I'll be the first person to admit I got to clean up my act, you know, sometimes when it comes to certain stuff. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Right.
Like when I gave the interview to Sachs yesterday, the main thing I heard was, Lee, we love the way that you didn't swear and you kept your composure through the whole thing.
That's huge.
And it would have been easy for me to say, hey, F you too, and him F you too. And you know, I'm not going to do that. I want to be taken serious as this show. And
Right.
then if people don't like it, the reality is they're not going to watch you, you know, and you know, and that's the main thing. You know, my son has a small little show, and I always say to him, why don't you try to make it larger, bigger? He goes, Dad, because I'm happy. You know, he doesn't care about anything except what he's doing on the show. You know, he's a military man. He went through hell. Right. So now he's back. And to him, this is like, he said, it's like therapy.
But do you see why FBS is so successful and why so many people like him?
Without a doubt. But he's having a lot of trouble with trolls also.
But why?
He handles them. He handles them better than me.
Why do you think he has the following he does?
Because he's a likable guy.
But why? Why do people like him?
Just his attitude and the way he is. He's kind of laid back.
Because he stays true to himself.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't change just because, you know, it could be good content or it might get good clicks if he talks shit about somebody. If he's got legitimate beef with somebody, he airs it out. Like he had beef with that Raimondi guy because he knew what a fraud he was. So he aired it out. He you know, he showed his true displeasure for this guy and what he was saying. You know, I think, you know, Chris's success comes from being sincere, staying true to himself, and not falling victim to these trolls and changing who you are, or just because, you know, you think a show is going to get the clicks because you're beefing with somebody. I think if you stay true to yourself, because the Lee Cole that I knew from day one was a guy that came in, gave his honest opinion about things, but also left it up to us, the audience, to make decisions for ourselves as well. And I feel like too much has swayed towards, you know, not, and I'm not just saying you, I'm saying a lot of people in this genre are trying to shove their opinions down the viewers' throats. And it's like, well, if you don't see it my way, go watch another channel. And I think that's a huge mistake.
And one of the things,
an insult to your viewers.
And one of the things I'm going to right here, I would love to see a Thin Gray Line becoming a reappearing guest of the show.
Oh, thank you, Jason. I appreciate it.
We appreciate that, and that's already in discussion. So maybe you know something we don't know. So this is kind of today was kind of a run to see how we get along. And as you can see, he's a straight shooter. And sometimes people like me need somebody to, you know, deal with the other crap. So, you know, you might have a good point there. We're going to discuss this, and
I'll tell you what, Lee. I'll tell you what. Let's leave it up to your audience. Put up a poll and see if they would like to see me come back more on a reoccurring basis, and see if I can try to straighten all you guys out. Not as made men, though. Straighten it out with everybody's beef, and see what I can do for you guys.
How long have you been watching this genre right here?
I think the first person that I started watching, it was either Michael or Sammy. I think I can't really remember, but it was kind of funny. FBS said it the other day. I think it was yesterday or the day before. How he started watching this Jeremy DeWitt guy, who is this like police officer impersonator, and all he is a funeral. He does funeral escorts. That's all he does. But he thinks he's this cop, and it's this whole other thing. But I was never even into YouTube. My daughter was into it, and I'm like, how do people just watch videos all day and that's entertaining? But once I started watching them, seeing all the different genres, I like golf, so I watch a lot of golf ones, like good and stuff like that. But as far as mob guys, I'm pretty sure it was either Sammy or Michael. I'm not 100% sure.
And what do you think about the show they're doing right now with their sit down?
I mean, it's working. I think they've piqued everyone's interest to the fullest. Do I think some of it is scripted? Listen, I'm not even going to give my opinion on that because that, to me, that's disrespectful. Who am I? What do I know? I wasn't there. I'm not involved in the production. You know, I'll just keep my opinion to myself on that. But I think it's going to do record numbers just by the little snippets that they're releasing. I think it's going to do huge numbers. And that's great. You know, if it entertains people and it gives people that kind of entertainment, so be it. I'm all for it.
And, you know, if you see their live shows, I mean, they do some crazy numbers. I mean, not Sammy doesn't do live shows. I don't think, maybe once in a while, but Michael does. And if you see his numbers, I mean, it's, you know, it's just unbelievable.
I mean, Michael's well-spoken, you know, he's got etiquette as far as knowing, you know, how to do a sit down, obviously with his previous life. He can hold a conversation, and I think he's well-spoken.
Jesse, you say hanging around 100 live, got to get back to the drama. That's not true. See, what you have to understand, Jesse, it's not how many people watch a live show. It's how many people in the end watch your video. I'll give you an example. I'll have videos where I got 60, 70, 80 live people. Next thing I know, I got 3,000, 4,000 views on it. That's right. And also it's the slowest time of day to do a show is on Saturday at midday. And that's just fact. Saturday's not a good day to have a live show. But, you know, that's not what it's about. It's about people will say, hey, look, Lee was on with this guy. He said a bunch of stuff that made sense. And next thing you know, you have 3,000 views. That's what it comes down to. Live.
If anybody has any questions, they can go ahead and ask, like especially the prison system or whatnot, if they want.
Yeah, guys, let's throw some questions in here. Okay, it says, I think he already has one by the size of his microphone. Thumbs up to Gray Line. 1, 2, 3, go.
Thank you, brother.
He's got the mob-loving people and God-fearing people on his side. Frances is no dummy.
Definitely not. He's very, very smart.
This one says, Lee, do your thing. Screw these haters. And let me tell you something about Michael. Michael really used to give me a hard time, but he's come around. So, and you know, I know he's a military man, and he knows. Yeah,
Lee, I think if you stay true to yourself and you maintain, you know, who you are, stick to how you want to run these shows, you're going to gain. You know, if there was anybody that left, you're going to gain them right back.
And this one's Michael Frances ratted on Norby Walters. Yes, we know that, but you know, I don't know what to say to that. I mean, when it comes down,
you know, these guys that wanna keep going with the rat thing, you know, just don't be shocked if you're ever in a situation, or hopefully you're never in a situation that you have to worry about if somebody rats on you or not. But just take it from me in the position that I'm in. They'll flip for a honey bun on you, trust me, or a soup, which is like 25 cents in prison.
I appreciate that compliment, Lee. I could see you as the next vlog. I don't know about that, but that guy gets 1 million views. Have you ever seen a fellow officer get gassed?
As far as get the OC spray in their face?
Yeah, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, when we're in the academy, you have to get gassed. I mean, our supervisors are maybe 10 feet away from us, and we get a direct spray right in the face. That's how you get certified to use spray. Everybody gets sprayed in the academy. And I've seen it where our supervisor is in a rush, or it's a heightened situation, and he quickly tries to grab his mace and spray the inmate. And lo and behold, the little hole is facing towards us, and the stream goes right into our face. It's happened more times than I like to admit.
And what do the inmates do when this happens?
You know what? I wish I could say I know, but when you get sprayed in the face, you don't know because you can't see.
Thin Gray Line, has your use of force policy changed with the police force UFO issues, fed, state, and county?
Yes, 100%.
And so now, are you guys more susceptible to lawsuits and stuff now?
100%. That's why, like, when I first started, you know, we could go and slap handcuffs on anyone at any time for any reason. Now, we better have a damn good excuse of why we're putting handcuffs on a person. And there's a paper trail. You have to do a use of force paperwork. You got to do a supplemental. You got to do a page one. It's a whole big to do.
This is my buddy Kane Shades. He says, have you ever seen racist behavior from any of your coworkers?
Absolutely. 100%. I can tell you when the facility that I first started at, and this is going back 15 years now, that even just between us, the coworkers, you would walk into roll call and the whole left side would be the whites and the whole right side would be blacks and Hispanics.
Just on with the COs.
Just with the COs.
Those
and again, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but me and a couple other guys would always be the ones to go right in the fucking middle because I'm not playing that fucking game. Because at the end of the day, it don't matter if you're black, white, Hispanic, Chinese. It doesn't matter if shit hits the fan. I need you to have my back, and it doesn't matter what color you are to make sure I go home to my family. And
that's what my sons say in the military. You know, there is when you hear that first shot, there's no such thing as color.
Yeah,
it all changes real quick.
Doesn't matter.
Great question, Kane Shades. And you see those orange glasses that he has on in this picture?
Yeah, by the way, I was one of the first commenters last night on your Twitter page.
Oh, so he owes
let me know
you.
if you need my address, Kane.
Yeah, Kane, you're gonna be promising those sunglasses and stuff.
Yeah.
5 pairs is supposed to go out, my man. So don't back off on it. You know what Kane's gonna do? He's gonna charge you for delivery charges,
shipping and handling.
Yeah, shipping and handling. That's what he's going to do.
I'll donate to a show. He's a good dude. I like Kane. He's a good dude.
Yes, and that's another thing. He needs to get subs. Please go to his show and sub for him because he is one of the straightest shooters with me. When he's disappointed in me, he tells me. When he's not, and he doesn't, and we're still friends, and we talk all the time. I was on his show last night. And he's like, oh, shit, I got to bring Lee on my show. I don't know how this is going to affect the people. But we had a great show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lee, I'm usually
he's another one, Lee, he sticks to who he is. Look at he stuck to his guns and he decided, listen, I don't rock with the A-lights. And I respect the hell out of somebody like that.
And you know what else he did?
So much props to you, Kane.
And the same thing is he could have just said, fuck you, Lee, I ain't talking to you no more. But he didn't say that.
Right.
And I respect that about him.
He's a true friend. That's a good friend.
Lee, I'm usually a hater, but I enjoyed this interview. No drama, arguing, or putting people down. Good show. Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate it. Gas, poop, and fave. Well, I don't know what that means, but okay. A guard at feds or state prison systems. Now they're trying to figure out state. Okay. Lee, you handle Stacks very well. I appreciate it. I'm kind of disappointed how angry he got.
I hope you and Stacks can work it out. I really do. I think
he has a great voice. He should, there's just things that, but you know what? I got to work on my shit too. So
everybody does. Nobody's perfect. Everybody has shit they can work on. But I think once you guys come into who you really are, as far as entertainers or media personalities, whatever you want to call it, once you guys come in to figure out exactly who you are and the show that you want and the way you want it to go, I think the sky's the limit for you guys. I really do. I mean, you blew up quickly. You were one of the first ones to do this, and you blew up fairly quickly.
You're right. I was looking at Frances for a Donnie Brasco video. It has over 1 million views. Yeah, it does. Of course. The guy has the power. There's no doubt about that. Can you see a time where inmates will be divided by ethnicity in the prison?
No.
Okay.
No.
How is prison life for modern day Italian mobsters? Are they still respected?
As far as mobsters, most of them are in the federal system. I don't really see too many made guys or mobsters where I am, but once you come into the prison, your title doesn't really mean shit. It really doesn't. It comes down to how you carry yourself, if you're respectful, if you're a dirtbag, if you're there to cause trouble, that's how you're perceived in prison. All your titles, your size, your prestige, if you had money, whatever, all that doesn't matter. All that's stripped. All it comes down to is who you are as a person. If you're an asshole, they're going to expose you as an asshole. If you're a good guy, you'll have better luck.
Do you see, a lot of Russians that in the system now, or is that also federal?
There's all ethnicities. You know, it really depends on the crime. It really depends on your area. I'm trying to think. I see a lot of Jamaicans. A lot of
Oh,
Jamaicans are coming in lately. A lot.
Christopher Baroni, he's very honest. I like him. It's funny the haters just keep coming back, though. You know, Christopher, that's true. The people come in here and they'll spend the whole show literally insulting me, but they'll stay here throughout the whole show. I had one guy that told me, and I disagree with him on this. He says, "Lee, let them stay in there. They get your views up." You know, I'm like, sometimes you just can't take it.
Yeah, absolutely. To what expense? You know.
Yes. Matter of fact, before I started today's show, I told my moderator in here, I said, please, if people want to have different opinions, that's fine. But if they get disrespectful, just get them out of the show. That's it for good. You know,
Right.
I don't even want to deal with them.
Right.
Good thing about Lee is he doesn't kick off his show for having a different opinion. I appreciate that. Try not to. Let's see. Any Aryan Brotherhood members at the prisons?
Yes, but like I said, if they're considered still active or claiming that they're active, they get shipped out real quick.
Okay, it's good of you, Lee, to be smoothing it out with Stax. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, Stax is here, so let's see the question he has to ask. What mafia family did you grow up around?
We'll talk after the show, Stacks.
Okay.
Actually, if you know Damian Trites, he could answer that question for you.
What did you do before you became a CO?
Bunch of things. I was a personal trainer for years. Like I said before, I did bodybuilding. I won a particular show that I had the choice of whether I wanted to accept my pro card or stay amateur. And I decided that I didn't want a life full of drugs to take it to that route and hang on stage with the big boys. So I just stuck to the personal training.
Okay, I really like Thin Gray Line. I would like to see you as a regular guest. He has a positive Zen vibe. And that's from Mabel 2319.
Thank you, hon. I appreciate it.
Okay. Did you think Frances is faithful as he portrays, or is it a BS and is he BSing a little?
I mean, I'll go first. Again, we don't know him. We're not in his circle. I'm not going to pass judgment on him one way or another. You know, if he's found God or faith or whatever you want to call it, and that's his outlet or whatever. Like, I can say that honestly, when I was younger, in my younger 20s, I'm 41 now, but when I was in my younger 20s, I had the choice to make. I could have went down a road of crime or hanging out with friends that were doing crime, or, you know, I could stick to what I was doing, which was college, and stay on the straight and narrow and get myself a good career with a good pension and retirement. And, that's when I found bodybuilding, because with bodybuilding, you got to be so focused. You have to be on point with your diet, with working out, with your supplements, all of that. That was my focus, to stay on the straight and narrow. So if that for him is what keeps him on the straight and narrow, then I'm all about it.
This is a question from Chris. Ask him who's doing the most snitching out of all the gangs in jail.
It literally doesn't matter what the gang is. It's what they're looking at. If they're in prison and they don't want to go get shipped to another facility, or they got found out and now they're getting designated, they'll try to snitch a fellow gang member out and say, I'm not in the Bloods. He's a king. I'm not blood. It's really what benefits them the most. There is no one particular person who snitches more than the other, though.
Michael says, very cool guess. As my 26-year-old daughter and soon-to-be son-in-law are state corrections officers in Ohio.
Good for them.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm glad about one thing. We got through the questions, and Well, we got Niccolo. Let's get another one in here. How prevalent is rape in prison? I've always wondered if this is something that's overhyped by the media, or is it actually as bad as they say?
Again, it depends on the facility, but yes, it is. It does occur. Would I say it's overhyped? No. What I would say, if anything, it's probably underhyped because a lot of it goes unreported. Just like in the real world, a lot of it goes unreported. And I would say one of the most shocking things, and I want everybody, here's a little bit of juice for the show, Lee. Some of the toughest, most high-ranking gang members are on their knees at night. And I'll just let you run with that however you want.
No.
We'll leave it there.
In your opinion, is he BSN? Answer, I don't understand that question. Do you?
No idea.
Florida attorney, do the wardens give out free KY to the inmates?
No. No.
Okay. Are Suboxone the
Yes.
hot-eyed? It is. Okay.
Yes, it is.
So that's a good question.
That's one of the most well, that's like we do random urines all the time, and you know, weed still makes its way inside these guys, and a lot of times it's not visitors, it's usually bad cops, unfortunately. But yes, Suboxone is one of the big things that is inside prisons right now.
How bad is the drug problem in prisons right now?
Bad. It's bad.
And where would you
What's
think
even worse, though, is I think that 85% of it is coming from dirty cops.
At least you're honest about it. I mean, that's
The way it is.
Yeah. Thin Gray Line brings out the best side of you, Lee, brings out you back to who you were when I first subscribed. Oh, gee, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. I think people are trying to send me a message here. Okay. What's the prison food like?
Whew. There's good days and bad days. Most bad, and some of it is hard to describe. I mean, it's literally called slop, and it's what they call it, slop. Let's put it that way. They have random days where you have hot dogs, pizza. The biggest thing, though, where we are is popcorn chicken. That is the most popular day.
Wow.
Everybody loves their popcorn chicken.
Do you think that it depends on who's running the prisons when it comes to good food?
No, because you got to remember, at the end of the day, it's other inmates cooking that food.
So do you think
a lot of it, like we have Fish Friday, it's coming from McDonald's. It's the same fillet of fish you get from McDonald's. That
really?
gets yeah, it just gets reheated up and served to the inmates. But you have chef supervisors, but it's the inmates who are cooking and preparing the food.
Eric the Midget says ice cream day. I guess he's trying to say that was his favorite day.
That's a big day too, but that doesn't happen very often. That's maybe once a month, every other month.
Charles says Suboxone is used in prison. It's the new currency. Almost no other drug inside anymore besides subs. Would you say that?
He's absolutely right about subs, but there's other things too. There's weed still gets in there, but subs is the number one problem.
I guess you could tell by the way people write some of these whether they've been inside.
Oh, absolutely. Again, that's the thing. You never know who you're going to run into. And again, like I said, I don't pass judgment on anyone. That was never my job to pass judgment. What you did is what you did. And if you did your time, you paid your debt to society. Now you got a fresh new start. Everybody deserves a second chance. And
people seem to know about Suboxone. So
Suboxone is literally the number one biggest problem inside prisons. Now again, you can look at it as a problem or you can look at it as a solution, because you got to remember, a lot of these guys coming in, especially if they're in county lockup, if they were doing stuff on the street, they're praying they get Suboxone so they can kill the withdrawals.
Yeah.
So
Suboxone is big in the UK prisons also.
Yeah, it's big everywhere.
Danny F says, what are your thoughts on prison TikTok, if any, and how do cell phones keep tempers down? And do cell phones keep tempers down?
Well, I can't personally say I've seen any. I literally still to this day have not seen one inmate with a cell phone. Now we have canine dogs that do sniff out phones, and I've seen that where we do a unit shakedown, and they find. I think the most we've ever found was 12 cell phones in one unit.
Wow.
Yeah.
So these guys are like playing games on the phones and calling
They're
people.
texting people on the outside. And again, I'm telling you, when you get off of this, or if anybody wants to, just you can go on. I don't know if it's Twitter, definitely TikTok and YouTube. Just look up inmates on TikTok. There's tons of videos of guys in prison making videos, which horrible for the security divisions.
Feds is usually a cleaner facility, and state is underfunded and in terrible shape. Would you agree with that?
Again, maybe in some states, I'm sure that's probably accurate in some states. Again, and some of those states are paying terribly, even just to be a CO. I mean, there's some states that I think I saw where you're only making $14, $15 an hour. That wouldn't be me. I'll tell you that right now.
Kane Shade wants to know, did they take tobacco out of your facility? And if so, did you see a major change inside the facility?
When I got there, they took it away. Again, don't hold me to this, but I want to say they took it out in 98 or 99, if I'm not mistaken. But it is just like Sammy said, you get a lot of guys that want to do Native American because they're allowed to smoke. They pass the peace pipe around or whatever. So you get a lot of guys signing up for Native American religion and going just to smoke.
Wow.
But you get guys, and listen to this, you'll get guys that COs go on smoke breaks, right? COs, a lot of COs smoke. They'll fish out unused or used cigarettes, put 6 or 7 used cigarettes together and re-roll their own cigarette.
I'm surprised they don't tell the COs to smoke in a certain spot and be careful.
They do, but then just like anybody else, you get people abusing the rules, abusing what they're supposed to be doing, and smoke wherever the hell they fucking want.
Have you ever come across a cop or correctional officer who are now inmates at your facility?
Yes.
Wow.
I'll tell you what the worst thing is about running into somebody. I'll tell you the worst thing. You have any guess about who or what might be the worst thing in a facility?
I don't know.
Somebody you went to school with, or somebody.
Oh, and
they are your worst nightmare because they expect you to take care of them. They expect you to look out for them, give them extra things. It's happened to me probably 3 or 4 times over my career, and my God, that is the worst day, coming in and seeing someone that you actually hung out with on the outside, because they just, and a real friend wouldn't put you in that position, but they still do.
And it's funny, that's happened to me when I was actually locked up, and all of a sudden the CO came over to me and was yelling my name. And I tried to avoid him because at that time you didn't want to talk to COs.
Right.
And I said, Mike, and I would back up away from him. It was more of a thing like, I can't even talk to you, dude, because it's just not accepted. It's different now. Well, I'm talking back in the 1980s when this happened with me.
Right.
Well, we're getting a lot of good questions, but I'm going to have to call this short in about 2 minutes. Why not let these guys smoke cigarettes if they behave? I heard all manner of chaos increase when they did. And that's a great question.
Well, I can tell you why. Because unlike a lot of places, or like a lot of places, the ventilation is awful in these places.
Right.
Some of these facilities are still ancient, and their exhaust system is horrible. Now, I've heard stories with some of the old timers that trained me that literally the hallway would be divided by half of smoke, from like halfway up to the ceiling was pure smoke and fog that you could not even see through. And the bottom half would be, the clean, fresh air. And I mean, with, cancer rates and everything that cigarettes are potentially linked to, there's no way. The lawsuits would be astronomical.
I'm purposely giving you Danny F because he asked two great questions in a row. Do you agree females working in high security male joint, and have you known females who have slept with inmates? We talked about that already. Is it a problem?
That's a great question, actually, and it's hard for me to answer. But I'll give you the best answer that I can. It is very tough for a female to work in a male facility, but no matter what the security, because you got to remember, they can't do 60 to 70% of what us males have to do inside of a male facility. Like a female can pat a male inmate down, but if I told you the amount of inmates that file lawsuits saying that they were touched inappropriately, it just becomes a nuisance. You know, which, you know, it's, if you take it on the flip side, if I went to an all female facility, it would be the same way. And female inmates are 1,000 times worse. They'll tempt you and try to seduce you in every possible way just to jam you up. I would never work in a female prison ever.
Great call. If you haven't got a habit and you snort a line of Suboxone, it is like smoking 5 big bags of Skag.
See, I've never seen pill form Suboxone. I've only actually, you know what? That's incorrect. I've seen one. I think it was called Subutex that I found in somebody's bunk. Yeah, it was called Subutex, and it was a mint flavor. So yeah, you're right. But I don't think I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you snort something with a mint flavor, wouldn't that burn like hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see that.
I'm going to end today's show on this final question because it's kind of funny. Are prisoners allowed to wear toupees, or would that be considered contraband? This comes from Nadu's Advanced Care System.
Oh my God. Before I answer that, I got to say, I like Jeff. Yeah. And that's one person I'm going to try to link you guys up and fix whatever's going on between you two, because I truly, truly like Jeff. I like what he brings to the table. I like his shows. Do I think he's a little sensitive? Yes. But even when you first started, Lee, you were pretty sensitive too. But I'd like to see you two guys work this out, because
hey, listen, he has my phone number. I have his phone number. We talked about it.
And he's strongly opinionated from what I've seen. He's got a strong opinion about things, but hopefully that you two can work this out, or hopefully maybe I can mend something somehow. But I would like to see you guys work it out, because I think Jeff's a great guy. And I'll tell you this right now. I will, right? You're hearing this right now. You can record this and clip it, whatever you want to do. I will put up $1,000 to anyone that wants to find out if Jeff's hair is real or not. I'm telling you it's real. And if anybody wants to challenge that, we'll put into a private account. I'll throw $1,000 in. Once I see your $1,000 go in, we'll get a independent hairdresser, and we'll see if it's real or not.
You know something? Right now, you're like Jeff's hero.
I'm just telling you, I know for a fact it's real. I know for a fact.
Did he let you pull it?
No.
Well, that's a good way to end the show, people. And please stay on. I'd like to talk to you in the back. Thank you so much for coming in. We've been on for an hour and a half. We've had a nice group, a nice crowd. Appreciate it. And something different today. I'm glad that
appreciate you for having me on, Lee. It was a pleasure.
No problem. We got a great amount of questions here. We got a good crowd, and that's all that matters. Especially the fact that they like the show. You know, no complaints.
I'm glad.
Okay. Well, everybody, you take care. Have a nice one, and I'll talk to you in 1 minute.